Hinduism is not just a religion of belief, it is a religion of practice. It doesn't say believe this and this will happen. It says try this and see what happens. How was Hanuman Ji able to get the dynamism to appear in front of Sita Ma in a subtle form, to take a great form, to destroy all of the asuras? Hanuman Ji was acting for Bhagwan Shri Ram alone. The so-called sin of killing these demons, he was not touched by it. And he was able not only to fly to Lanka with Bhagwan's name on his lips, but it was the same power of Bhagwan's name that took him back. We are all people who are looking to overcome challenges in our life. Those challenges might be big, those challenges might be small. How do we live these examples that are given to us by Hanuman Ji? The answer is today we are a practical generation. The messages of the Bhagavad Gita, the messages of the Upanishads, if we aren't able to apply in our lives, we decide maybe this is not for us. But these messages of the Bhagavad Gita, of the Upanishads, of the Vedas themselves are designed not just as theory, but to be practiced in our lives even today. And that's why this wisdom of Sanatan Vedic Dharma has endured for thousands and thousands of years. Namaste, my name is Dhumatkar, and in this series of videos, we are decoding the practical impacts and application of the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. And if this is of interest to you, please subscribe to the channel now itself. It may be a small step for you, but it goes a long way in our mission of bringing this practical wisdom to one and all. Now, in our journey through the Bhagavad Gita, so far we have covered 3 of the 18 chapters. Each of these 3 chapters has their own dedicated playlists on YouTube, which if you want, you can go and watch. And in this 4th chapter, Bhagwan continues to speak on the life-changing impact of Karma Yoga. It's tough. How do you act even though you're appearing like you're not? We've addressed that in a previous video. What is it to act with dynamism? We've addressed that in a previous video. And today we start to see a wonderful example from the Ramayana that gives practicality and application to this message of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagwan says, Tyaktva karma phalas sangam nitya trupto nirashrayah karmanyabhi pravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Having abandoned attachment to the fruits of action, ever content, depending on nothing, he does not do anything though engaged in action. Now, this message of someone who may be working and acting in the worldly sphere, but in their inner space is unmoved, is a message that we hear over and over again. And when we hear this message, there are 2 questions that come to mind. One is, what happens to my motivation, my dynamism, my desire to act if I have this attitude? And the second question is, how can I make this practically happen? Both examples are illustrated from the divine uplifting episodes that Hanuman Ji plays in the Ramayana. What happens to my drive and motivation if I am acting in an unattached way? Well, Hanuman Ji is the most dynamic being that we can think about. What Hanuman Ji is able to achieve in just 1 step, it might take us 1,000 steps to even make some progress on that same path. So this inner attitude of detachment allows Hanuman Ji to make amazing things happen. And how does Hanuman Ji do that? Well, in the Hanuman Chalisa it says, Prabhu mudrika meli mukhamahi jaladilangi gai acharajnahi durgam kaj jagat ke jete sugam anugrah tumare dete. By carrying the ring of Bhagwan Shri Ram on his tongue, Hanuman Ji crossed the ocean. Now, of course, this is part of the story where Hanuman Ji took the ring of Bhagwan, held it in his mouth and jumped across the sea. But it has a deeper meaning as well. This ocean represents the ocean of all of our challenges. And what is it that gave Hanuman Ji the strength to jump? It was the ring of Bhagwan. Now, where did he place this ring? Hanuman Ji could not put Bhagwan's ring on his own finger because he is not qualified to do so. In addition, the ring is a very specific ornament, and other parts of our body also have their ornaments. Our neck has ornaments, our ears have ornaments, our ankles have ornaments. But what is the ornament for our tongue? This Hanuman Ji illustrates that to cross the ocean of challenges, the ornament that needs to be on our tongue is the name of Bhagwan. In this name resides Bhagwan's presence. In this name resides Bhagwan's power. And taking this name, when Hanuman jumped across the ocean, what did he find? Well, the first challenge that he encountered was Menak Parvat coming out of the ocean to say, "Oh Hanuman, you're on a long journey. Let me give you some rest." This represents the challenge of procrastination that Hanuman Ji was able to overcome by keeping Bhagwan's name on his tongue. The second challenge that he got was the serpent Sursa, who came out of the ocean and opened her mouth out wide to try and capture Hanuman Ji. This Sursa represents the challenge of temptation, where Hanuman Ji quickly changed his size, went into her mouth, exited and flew on his way. And the third challenge that came up was Simhika, who pulled Hanuman Ji into the ocean, but Hanuman Ji directly defeated her and went on his way. And this third challenge that Simhika represents is the challenge of jealousy. When we are doing good work, jealousy is something that will pull us down. That might be jealousy of others towards us, but it also might be our own jealousy towards others who are further on the path than us. For all of these challenges and to overcome the very ocean of challenges themselves, Hanuman Ji takes the name of Bhagwan Shri Ram. The name of Bhagavan constantly remains on his lips. Now this is a very, very practical guidance to us. If we want to live this path as shown in the Bhagavad Gita, as shown in the Upanishads, then a very practical way to do so is Nama Japa, or taking the name over and over again of Bhagavan. This need not simply be Bhagwan Shri Ram, although Bhagwan Shri Ram's name itself is said to be one that overcomes all challenges. But any Devata that we connect with, any form of Bhagwan that we connect with, simply by chanting their name, we achieve such a level of inner dispassion and dynamism that we can do anything. We end up acting in such a way, as Bhagwan says, as one who does not do anything even though engaged in action. Now one might listen to this and say, Hanuman Ji went to Lanka and he did all of these things. He burnt the garden, he fought with Ravan, he spoke to Sita Ji. How can you say he didn't do anything? And in doing so, he killed a number of asuras. Is that also okay? Is that also permitted? To answer this question, in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan says, Nirashiryata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvan napnoti kilbisham. Without expectation, with the mind and with the self-control, having abandoned all possessions, doing mere bodily action, he incurs no sin. So Hanuman Ji, who landed on the shores of Lanka and searched the entire kingdom looking for Sita Ma, eventually found her in the Ashoka Vatika, the garden that was next to Ravan's own palace. And seeing Sita Ma there waiting for Bhagwan Shri Ram, he was tempted to immediately pick her up and bring her back. But knowing his duty of simply conveying a message, he stood on that branch observing Ma. He knew that if he landed in his full-blown form as Hanuman Ji, she may be afraid. On that branch, he gently started singing hymns of Bhagwan Shri Ram. And Sita Ma, in response, spoke of her wonderful pastimes with Bhagwan, at which time Hanuman Ji appeared in front of her as a small monkey and said that he is the messenger of Bhagwan Shri Ram. Sukshma Rupa Dhari Siyahi Dikhava. Taking a subtle small form, he went in front of Sita Ma, convinced her of his legitimacy, gave her the ring that he carried in his mouth, and assured her that Bhagwan Shri Ram has not abandoned her and will be there to rescue her soon. And thus, seeking her blessings, he had completed his mission. But had he completed his journey? No.
Sukshma Rupa Dhari Siyahi Dikhawa, Vikata Rupa Dhari Lanka Charawa, Bhima Rupa Dhari Asura Samhare, Ramachandra ke Kaj Savare.
And so, having completed his mission, Hanuman Ji decided to teach Ravana a lesson. He, one by one, started to destroy the trees, the plantations, the banks of this wonderful Ashok Vatika that Ravan had built. Not only was he content with that, he then stood on the walls of Ashok Vatikas, challenging the Lankans for a fight. There, one after the other, he defeated the armies of Ravan that Ravan had sent to him, killing in the process Ravan's own son, Daksh Kumar. And finally, when Ravan sent his favorite son Meghnad, Hanumanji also thought to himself, maybe I should get captured. And not only was Hanumanji captured, his tail was dipped in oil, and that tail was set in fire. And not only was his tail set on fire, but he was paraded through all of Lanka. But see, Hanumanji is smart, because he marked all of the streets of Lanka and he saw who were the Asuras who were cheering this spectacle and who were the Asuras like Vibhishan who were not supporting Ravan in these actions. And having been paraded through Lanka, he then took this sail and set the entire city on fire. This heroic action filled fear in the hearts of the Asuras. How was Hanuman Ji able to get the dynamism to appear in front of Sita Ma in a subtle form, to take a great form in front of all of the Asuras, to destroy them and to fill fear in their hearts? Ramachandra ke Kaj Savare. Because his work was not for himself, it was for Bhagwan Shri Ram. This is a wonderful illustration of what Bhagwan says. One who is without expectation, with the mind and self-control, having abandoned all possessions, does merely bodily action and incurs no sin. Hanuman Ji was acting for Bhagwan Shri Ram alone. He was acting for a higher cause alone. And so, the so-called sin of killing these demons, he was not touched by it. And he was able not only to fly to Lanka with Bhagwan's name on his lips, but it was the same power of Bhagwan's name that took him back to deliver the message of Sita Ma. We are all people who are looking to overcome challenges in our life. Those challenges might be big, those challenges might be small. How do we bring this dynamism of Karma Yoga into our lives? How do we live these examples that are given to us by Hanuman Ji? The answer is Nama Japa. The answer is to regularly practice taking Bhagwan's name. The answer is to regularly practice some form of mantra. And if you are looking for guidance, we have got some introductory level mantra meditations on this channel that have been specifically created for beginners. Some of these are only 5 minutes long. My request to you is take 5 minutes. Experience the presence of Bhagwan. Bring the dynamism of Karma Yoga into our life and see what it creates for you in the future. See, Hinduism is not just a religion of belief. It is a religion of practice. It doesn't say believe this and this will happen. It says try this and see what happens. So it's my request to you to take these messages of the Bhagavad Gita, tie them in with the dynamism of Hanuman Ji and practically practice them with the power of mantra to see change and dynamism in all our lives. And if each one of us does this, then truly the entire society can be uplifted. My name is Dhumatkar. Thank you once again for joining us on yet another video on the Bhagavad Gita. This entire series is available for free on our YouTube channel, which if you subscribe, then you will be notified of future uploads. If you found this valuable, please share it with someone who may also benefit. And even if you do nothing else, please practice and experience the power of Bhagwan's name for even a moment after you finished watching this video. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you again very soon. Namaste.